Terrace back with another review on the Saunabox, and the model is their full spectrum infrared sauna, the Solara, Saunabox Solara Review 2025. So as we get into this, we're going to dive into, is this worth what they're charging? Is this something that's going to give you the benefits that you're seeking? Is there maybe a better option out there? I will actually go over an alternative that I would recommend for a similar price point. And I am an infrared sauna dealer for many brands of saunas. So I'm kind of like a sauna broker. I advise on several different product categories, not just saunas. You can email me anytime. I respond 7 days a week. You can find my contact information below in the description box. Please give a like to the video if you like it, and let's just dive right on in. So, Saunabox. So this company, this time of the year, there is a lot of marketing online, social media. So if you found the Saunabox, most likely you saw an ad online. Now, I just want to add that the touchscreen control panel on here, since it's just on screen right now, it's a nicer one. It looks nice aesthetically, the touchscreen, but realistically, those functions on there are what most saunas on the market do. Just wanted to clarify that if you don't know anything about infrared saunas. The box itself, if you see those little buckle clips on the side that fasten the two sides together, this is generally the hallmark of a couple different factories in China that are a little bit lazy or cheap about the way that a sauna would be assembled. And it's the minute I see the buckles on the side, like, I'm not such a fan of that, just because it usually implies a lot of other things about the construction quality. In other words, let me phrase it a little bit more clearly. So by having buckles on the side, it's cheaper for the mass manufacturer to produce, right? Their end goal at the factory level is to produce saunas for many brands that are white labeled as cheaply as possible. So usually a lot of corners that are cut. Okay. So not my favorite thing to see. Also aesthetically, I just think it looks ridiculous to have buckles on the sides of saunas. So if you don't like the look of like buckles on the side of your sauna, I mean, the black sleek look, it is cool. It is cool. You could always paint your sauna with something totally non-toxic stain if you ever wanted to do that on a lighter wood, just FYI. But yeah, I don't like the buckles on the side. So let's get into more about this sauna here. This is a one-person sauna. It's kind of like an average industry price range, $2,999. It's average. I would say it's even maybe a little bit competitive. A lot of the brands out there, 85% of the brands out there are really kind of coming from the same 3 to 4 factories. So I'd say they're maybe slightly on the more competitive end price-wise. Granted, of course, just because we're talking about price, does that mean like it's, it holds its value? In other words, is it really worth spending them out? I'm not making any comments on that. I'm just talking strictly about like where it's priced compared to other companies. Let's get into the key features here. So I want to clear something about full spectrum, okay? Low EMF infrared healing. So let's see if we can get a photo here. So you see as we open up the door here, there's this little array right there on the door, okay? So that is actually it's right here. It's listed right here if you're wondering. 850 nanometer, that's what it stands for, near infrared. I mean, I might have put LEDs after that, just to clarify. And inside of that LED panel right there, let's see if there's another photo here too. Yeah, there we go. That's way better, right? Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. It's on the front glass door. It's a little offset, as you can see, on one side versus mounting it in the center. I wouldn't have done that per se. I probably would have put this in the center of the door, so it's a little more in line with the center of the bench, and then maybe made the door handle like vertical. It's honestly such a weird design when you think about it, right? Look at this. So you made a horizontal handle, and why would you not make the handle vertical? Like most door handles are vertical, right? That's what we're all used to. And it's taking up space jutting in here, which then means you're like sticking this LED array on the side. It's so bizarre. Anyways, so we are gonna critique this in a second here. But I just wanted to point out, when you read that in the specs, because most people don't really know about all this stuff like the photobiomodulation, LEDs, and what's non-thermal light versus the thermal infrared emitters on the wall, which are the carbons. Like it's a lot of information. This is what I do if you can ask me questions anytime. So when they show in the specs here 660 nanometer, that's visible red. That's why it looks red, okay? Visible red light. 850, that's in the near infrared spectrum. That's invisible. You can't see that with the naked eye, okay? So it's an LED array that is offering LEDs, light emitting diodes, just like the LEDs you may have in your home or you've seen, or LED flashlight, same kind of thing, okay? That are producing just these wavelengths, only these two wavelengths. Now, when you produce them with LEDs, that's non-thermal. It's not heat, okay? It's non-thermal. The infrared that you produce on the walls with these carbon emitters, okay, that's thermal, right? So there's thermal infrared, which is a wide spectrum. And carbon emitters, they go from near, mid, and far, or IRA, IRB, IRC. But when you look at the spectroscopy report for carbon emitters in all brands, they follow like a bell curve, if that makes sense. And you'll see kind of like the general micron range of those emitters. Micron, by the way, is just another way of measuring an infrared wavelength. You can measure in nanometers, or you can measure it in microns. Now, traditionally in the sauna industry, they'll use microns. Okay, so if you do see that somewhere, that's what they're talking about. But generally, carbon emitters are good because they're generally fuller spectrum. That's the funny thing about it, is when some companies are like, we put these special emitters, heaters inside that are, quote, full spectrum. You see that term right there? Okay. See how confusing this is? It's like, oh, wait, there's some special full spectrum heaters in here. It's like, well, the carbon emitters on the wall, which most saunas, infrared saunas, have carbon emitters, they already technically kind of are fuller spectrum. It's not the entire spectrum, like all infrared wavelengths, but it's a very wide amount of micron range. So if you were to say like, what's a type of heater that has a pretty wide full spectrum, you know, like a fuller spectrum amount, I would literally tell you it's not ceramic, it's a carbon emitter. Okay. So, but that's not what they're implying here. And that's what other companies also aren't implying when they stick an extra type of heater inside of a sauna. Now, in this case, they're sticking LEDs in, which isn't a heater per se, it's light, but that's what they're saying. So it's not full spectrum. This is language stuff that I'm picking apart here, but it is confusing and you should understand. This is all going somewhere, so just hang in there. We should really say fuller spectrum, right? And then you'd say like, okay, well, why is this sauna box fuller spectrum? And then I would say, well, because they have these red LEDs and these near LEDs, in addition to the infrared heater, carbon emitters on the walls. Doesn't that make more sense? Okay. But then we have to then say, well, is this worth it? Is it worth paying for this type of LED array? And the answer is no. It is not worth spending your money on that. Why? I have videos on this, by the way, on my channel, which maybe I'll link below in the description, because the challenge with these types of LED panels that are in the sauna, but also it's a very trendy product category. There's many companies on the market right now just selling these panels that people sit or stand in front of. You might even see these at wellness clinics. The big drawback or challenge of those is when you send those light wavelengths a distance, like when you're sitting on the bench and you're sending it a distance from the body, from the door to where you're seated, that distance is great. Where your front torso is, right? You're getting none of these light spectra, by the way, on your backside, just to be clear, right? So that's a drawback. But on the front side, you're a distance from it. And when there is a way to calculate how much energy from an LED light source is actually like what the potency, there's a specific scientific term for that, but the actual irradiance power of that on your skin and how much you can absorb, it is a fraction. It is you lose so much energy in that distance, it's basically not worth buying. Now, if you could actually have LEDs that are like right on top of your body, so keep in mind, guys, there's a couple hundred clinical research studies with LEDs. They call that photobiomodulation, by the way, with near infrared and red. And the way that they use them properly in those studies to get all the health benefits, and there's a lot of health benefits, but the way that you use the LEDs is right on top of the skin. Okay, and it has to be the right type of device. So I'm not advising you, by the way, to find one of these LED panels and put it right on top of your skin. I am not advising that. That could damage your skin because it's not designed for that. That's a longer conversation. So there are the LEDs that are properly designed so you absorb almost all the energy into your body. They're designed to be safely used on top of your body, directly in contact, so you get a maximum absorption. So this is just not worth it. You're just losing most of the energy here. It's absolutely just not worth it. So if you do want to get some photobiomodulation benefits from red light and near, just reach out to me. I am aware of literally every product on the market pretty much, and I can advise you on getting a standalone device specifically for that. And believe me, it's a long list of health benefits. There's actually more benefits with photobiomodulation than actual like infrared saunas themselves. Okay. So this is just not well done. It's pointless to invest in that. Yes, it is technically fuller spectrum than like a infrared carbon emitter sauna. Okay. I don't have any issue with hemlock wood. I haven't had time to ask the company if they're putting plywood in the roof. So a lot of companies, they do put plywood. Let me scroll up here. On the outside of this, they put plywood on the top of the roof on the exterior and sometimes below the floor. I haven't confirmed 100% if that's what they're doing with this brand, but you can easily just contact them and, be very firm and say, hey, if I get the sauna, and there's plywood on the exterior of that, you're in trouble. I leave a lot of bad reviews. But basically, I'm just saying that because at least 85%, maybe more sauna brands on the market, infrared sauna brands, they use plywood in the saunas. Plywood is very toxic, especially when you heat it up and cool it down and heat it up and cool it down over time. It can off gas. So you definitely do not want plywood in the sauna. Again, it's very common. So while everybody's focused on EMF, electromagnetic frequency, you really should be more concerned about VOCs, toxicity, being off-gassed into the air with most saunas. Okay, it is a lower EMF sauna. There is the other option I'm going to recommend to you than this one for a similar price point is actually a lower price point and lower EMF. It's actually so low, this alternative I'm going to show you, that there is actually no change whether you turn it on or off. There's no change in both the ELF and the magnetic, the EMF. It's the magnetic field, and then there's also the electrical flux. Okay, so just wanted to point this out, the height of this person here with chiseled abs. The other model that I'm going to show you is actually of a similar height. It's like a mini. It's almost like a smaller mini size. Okay, so this is actually a smaller sauna, just to be clear. This is a smaller size sauna than a regular standard one-person infrared sauna, just to be clear. Okay, so some people like that, obviously. That's kind of nice. Takes up less space, right? And let me just jump back to one more photo, which is going to be important before I roll into the next suggestion here. So this guy is actually not seating all the way up. Where was that other good photo I had? There's another photo of a model. There she is. Okay. All right. Never mind. I'm going to move on from that point that I was going to make here. Okay. My point I was going to make is they're keeping the heaters lower down the walls, which is actually a good thing. I'm going to show you another alternative here that does that. There's only a couple brands out there, a few brands, that keep the heaters lower down the walls. And that's what you want, just to be clear. You don't want paneling that goes high up the walls. Some of this paneling actually looks different. Do they have two models? Let's just check that out here together. Because you don't want paneling that goes higher up the walls. So that's really confusing. Some of these photos look lower and some looks higher up the walls. Interesting. Anyways, that's not my main critique though. So the main critique here though is the front glass emitter on the door, that thing, the little LED. It's not worth it. I'm going to show you another company right here that basically does a stronger output. So they have the heaters lower down the walls, concentrating all the wattage on your body, right? It's a mini, as you can see. It's shorter. That's her height. She's probably 5'6". Actually, she was a taller model. I think she might have been like 5'8". I can't remember. Anyways, she's getting in the set. First off, notice that she's getting in the side door. So there's a door in the side of the sauna. The door is not positioned in front of the bench, facing it. Take a look down here. See now when she's seated, she has this large emitter, very large carbon emitter directly in front of her. Look where that door is. Okay, see where that door is? So the door is not in front of her. So you don't get all that glass in front of you, like with the other brand, where you're getting all that glass. Let's show this on again. You're getting all that glass in front of you, okay? So ideally, you want to saturate your body with a lot of infrared on your front side. Why? Why do you want that? Because look at how much surface area is on your front of your body. It's obviously the biggest area, right? Outside of your backside is also your torso, has the biggest surface area, which is why we lean against carbon heaters, right? We lean against them to get all that on the backside. You got them on the side. So they say 360 with all of their saunas because you're surrounded. So it's not 360 degrees. You're not going to die in there. It means you have heaters all around you, 360 degrees. That's what that means, okay? And you also have them underneath your feet. This is a very, and behind your calves, just to be clear too as well. So wherever you can have a carbon emitter, heater, you have it in the sauna. And then he supplies a good amount of power and wattage to all of these. So generally he has the highest watt density, the greatest amount of watts per square inch for power for the heaters also. So this, you get significantly more infrared on your body in this than most other carbon saunas, especially that Solara from Saunabox. So again, this is the type of heater we want in front of you. We don't want that weird little LED putting out those light frequencies off to the side, which then you're too far away from it. You know what I mean? And by the way, this model is just even slightly smaller in the interior as well. So that other LED emitter I was talking about with the other brand, it's even further away than what it would even look like in this photo, because the other one is actually slightly larger in size. Now, if some people are saying like, I'm kind of tall or like kind of big person, will I fit in this? Yeah. Honestly, for most people, by the time you sit down anatomically, most people's legs and upper torso are pretty similar proportionally. So you can actually, for the most part, be comfortable. But if you're exceptionally tall and or exceptionally just a big person, let me know. And I probably would recommend like a one person, you know what I mean? The standard sized one person versus the mini. So from this company or from a different company, just to be clear. So as you can see, I was talking about this before. This is actually a very helpful website page. It talks about how much watts per cubic feet. Most infrared saunas only have 20 to 30 watts per cubic feet. That's how much infrared's coming out of the emitters, basically. And this is an absolute fact. So if you can try, it's unlikely you'll be lucky enough to try one of these brands, probably locally, but you can absolutely feel the difference in terms of the intensity of how much more infrared you're getting because of this alone. And then the other reason why you feel it even more so is because it has that huge heater in front of you, which is extremely rare. You're almost never ever going to see that at all with any brands. So that's the other reason why you just really feel the amount of infrared and stuff like that. Hemlock, there's absolutely no plywood in the sauna at all. It's hemlock all the way through. Okay, it's good to know. EMF is literally non-existent, which is unusual also. And if you want to store your encyclopedia set on top, that's where you can put it, because we all have encyclopedias these days, and yeah, you just throw it right on top of the sauna there. Anyways, just having a little bit of fun, but I think it is honestly a little funny. But yeah, some people do seriously though. They store things on top. Sometimes they put a plant on top, stuff like that, which is kind of cool. Just showing you a few more photos here. So if you have if you like the video here, please support what I do. The link to order this particular brand of sauna is below in the description box. Please check out the link below to learn more about the sauna, and if you want to order it, that's where you'll find it below the video. If you have questions about this brand or you have questions about other sauna brands, just reach out. If you have questions about traditional saunas, feel free to reach out. You can talk to me about a wide variety of brands. But I just want to make a really helpful comparison video. So price point on this, you got to check. I'm not in the loop with what their recent sale is on this. But for a while, we were somewhere around $25.95, $27.95, $28. It's probably still in that range. It's just the tariff situation has been so utterly ridiculous, honestly, for the last year and a half. So you just kind of have to check with Kevin, the owner, and just see like, hey, what's the deal? With tariffs, and so some of these sauna businesses are getting hit really, really hard. It's like crazy, like how much it eats into their profit margins. So this is a smaller company, but they've been around a long time, as you can see, 1999. So they know a thing or two about saunas, that is for sure. That's a fact. So if you ever chat with Kevin, he's one of the more knowledgeable individuals in the industry. But they're a small business, and they do get hurt by increases in shipping costs, wood, tariffs. It's been insane, honestly. So he's trying to keep his prices as competitive as possible, but absolutely, unlike other companies, will not compromise on quality and efficacy. He will not compromise in any way at all. So I just want to make that perfectly clear. And I've seen this sauna inside and out, every single component, the suppliers that he's choosing for every single aspect of the sauna. Another common company in his own hometown, Vancouver, Radiant, will absolutely, by contrast, make compromises in their quality and their construction of what they're doing. So it's a challenging industry. You know, even your next door neighbor business could be radically different, even though in photos and online and with your influencers that are endorsing products, you know, you might think Radiant is a better option. But you really have to do your due diligence, but that's what I do. Anyways, thanks for watching my video. If you have any questions, just leave them below in the comments or email me anytime.